One of my biggest wrestling videos is how wrestlers hate wrestling, and my reaction to how AEW sucks. And and basically we found out this guy was a bit like homophobic or something. It's what it came off as. I don't know if that's what he's like. I don't know, but yo, straight up, his takes were like, I'm a little homophobic, so AEW sucks. I'm going to be honest, AEW did start to suck a little bit, and it was understandable. It was quarantine. Okay, everything shut down on them, and they had very few wrestlers to work with. They didn't have the money that Vince McMahon had to build the Thunderdome or whatever the hell he built with all of his. They were really slumming it, man. They were working some really tough, and they did some really cool stuff. And at the point I'm at now, I've watched every Dynamite up to Double or Nothing 2020. I'm waiting for that DVD to come in on a slow boat now. It'll get here someday, and then I'm going to catch up. I'm going to try to catch up for the pay-per-view that's coming up in November. I think it's All In. I want to catch up and watch that in real time. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm going to try. And it did start to suck a little bit. And the last video I was watching, he was kind of like bagging on stuff they were doing in quarantine. And I'm like, dude, I watched that stuff and you need to shut the fuck up. Especially when it comes to like, you know, the Kenny Omega and Nakasawa match. That match was actually fucking great. So I want to hear why AEW doesn't suck anymore. I don't think I'm caught up to where he is, but I'm curious about this. And let's do it for the content. Let's go.
In the beginning of the year, AEW wasn't looking too good. The company was heading downhill and it was looking
Fuck, dude. Nothing was looking good at the start of 2021. We were coming out of 2020.
really bad. The ratings were consistently dropping on a weekly basis. In March, the show was hovering just around 700,000 viewers, and it even went down to 688,000. And in June, it was even worse, and it went down all the way to around 400.
Yeah, man. It was like quarantine, dude. Like all the content was suffering. They were having to they were not producing the show as they were. So yes, all the numbers were down. They were struggling. They were struggling to stay afloat. They were just trying to get people work, man. Oh my God, are we not going to mention like the elephant in the room? Dude.
400,000 viewers. It was not looking good for AEW Dynamite.
It wasn't looking good for the world. The entire world wasn't looking good. Like, is this guy's like only frame of reference like wrestling? Like his whole scope of influence is just like, I only watch wrestling.
On top of that, the quality of the show was pretty bad as well.
Oh my God. Stop like harassing these wrestlers who are trying to work for a global pandemic. Oh my God. Oh my God, dude. So yeah, now AEW doesn't suck anymore because there's no longer a global pandemic? Okay. I agree.
This was around the time when they had the huge botch at the Revolution pay-per-view. The explosions in the ending of the Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley match was a complete disappointment, and Tony Khan tried to work around it and say that Kenny Omega purposely wanted to mess with everyone by creating a dud, but it just did not work.
I haven't seen that yet, so I don't know. It can't be as bad as Extreme Rules 2021. There's no way that's as bad as Extreme Rules 2021, where a ring also exploded.
Out. Other than that, the ending of the Blood and Guts match also had people laughing. The camera production team made the mistake of showing the cardboard box
that the WWE does like all the fucking time. Like all the fucking time you're seeing some shit on WWE where they're doing this. Like no difference. And yes, good. I'm glad they showed the fucking, I'm glad he didn't land and hurt him. He's like over 50 years old. My God, he's bleeding. Maybe it's okay.
That Chris Jericho landed on, which was clearly not a stage or a ramp. AEW also was just getting really boring around this time in the beginning of the year. That's what I personally thought, and I thought the ratings were low because of the shows being not as good as they once were. People within the company were...
But he didn't think they were good like at all. He like thought they were never good. He's totally changed his opinion.
Also being misused.
Which is good. I mean, they were good. This is true. They came out, the first episode of Dynamite was probably like the best thing ever. Second episode, great. Third, great. Great. Pretty much everything was fantastic until quarantine hit. Things got really rough. They stayed really rough. And yeah, quarantines were over before the summer, sure. But, you know, things were rough still. They were recovering. They did not have a full roster. the storyline suffered for it. They couldn't do things they wanted to do. Brody Lee died. Come on, man. There's a lot of shit going on in AEW that they were struggling through.
Miro was still.
And it's a small company. It's not WWE where they got all the money and they can fix these problems quickly. It takes time for a smaller company to course correct.
Part of that stupid Kip Sabian storyline being his best man. I don't know why that happened in the first place. MJF and Chris Jericho had a lackluster feud, and overall the show just wasn't as good as.
How can MJF and Chris Jericho have a lackluster feud? How can you use lackluster and MJF in the same sentence? Or Jericho for all that matter. I can't imagine that is bad. There's no way that's bad. No shot.
It could be. I even made a video about it explaining why I thought that AEW sucked.
Yes, and we watched it and you were wrong. You were absolutely wrong and kind of homophobic, and it was weird.
Half a year later, and so much has changed. AEW has actually made significant improvements. I'm personally digging the shows that they've been putting on as of late. The company has seen its best ratings ever, with the shows hitting more than 1 million viewers for AEW Dynamite on a weekly basis. They even beat Raw in the 18-49 demo once.
Yeah, and they just kicked SmackDown's ass too. So this is funny. So SmackDown finally came out and said, we acknowledge AEW and we are going to extend SmackDown by a half hour so that it runs into Rampage, right? Is that right, Rampage? And they lost. Everybody flipped the channel. They flipped away from a Roman Reigns title match to like a women's wrestling match on AEW. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Good on you, AEW. Keep going.
It is clear that Tony Khan noticed it was becoming trash and he started putting more effort into his show. So
they came out of Jesus, man. Yes, there was a global pandemic and the wrestling wasn't quite as good when they didn't have all the wrestlers available to wrestle because of the global pandemic.
So today I'm going to explain why AEW does not suck anymore and why it's actually good. The biggest reason why AEW does not suck anymore is because of their recent signings. At the end of the day, the most important thing about the wrestling is talent. I've said this countless times because I really believe it. Your show is only as good as your roster. And Tony Khan spent the last 2 years improving his roster and signing talent around the world.
And how did he get that talent? By running the worst wrestling show that anyone's ever seen because AEW sucks? Is that how you draw in the top talent? Is that how you do it? I'm really glad this guy's supporting AEW now because that's what we really need to do. We really need to support the smaller company. And you can still be a WWE fan and support AEW. You're really just support wrestling. Support wrestling. Nothing sucks, okay? It's all great. It's all wrestling. I mean, Vince McMahon sucks. Can we all agree that Vince McMahon sucks? Wrestlers are cool, though. And AEW treats its wrestlers well. So yes, top talent comes to them, and that's why they don't suck. Even if maybe the show isn't great. Maybe tonight's show isn't the best one ever, but they still treat their wrestlers with class and dignity, so they don't suck. Even if the show sucks, they don't suck. That's the problem with WWE. They can put on great shows, sure, but they suck. They actually treat people like shit, so they suck because of that. The show can be this or that or the other. You can enjoy bad things too. That's fine. But I'm more concerned that the company is treating people right and the fans right, giving people what they want as opposed to not.
And it's been helping out tremendously. The biggest name that he signed was obviously CM Punk. The fact that this man really brought CM Punk back and out of retirement is...
This dude loves CM Punk. You can tell. You can tell that's what this is all about. He's like, basically CM Punk is with AEW now, so now AEW is cool. It's all right. Everything's fine now. Now CM Punk is here. Everything is fine.
It's incredible. I would have never thought that that was going to happen.
Why didn't you think that was going to happen? Everybody thought that was going to happen. Nobody didn't think that was going to... You were not paying attention, son. For all the wrestling that you enjoy, you were just not paying attention. Did you not catch the point where this is a wrestling organization run by wrestlers for wrestlers? Oh my God. Of course CM Punk is going to join. You are kidding me.
This led to one of the best moments in AEW's short history, and that was CM Punk's return on Rampage, which was awesome. Everything about it was perfect. It could not have been better. Even Jim Cornette gave them praise and said they booked it better than what he had in mind, and that is a huge compliment because he hates everything about AEW. Tony Khan also signed some really good names.
I wouldn't even listen to Jim Cornette. Just like turn him off, man. He's old and he doesn't matter. He's irrelevant. Fucking relevant. It doesn't matter what Jim Cornette says. Fuck Jim Cornette. I need t-shirts in my short store that say fuck Jim Cornette, AEW rocks. Fuck this man. I'm tired of people listening to him. Shut the fuck up, dude. It's over. It's over. Nobody cares. I don't care how disrespectful that is either. I know he's a long timer. I know he's fucking great, but he's irrelevant. He's fucking irrelevant. It's done. Nobody cares. AEW's happening. New wrestling is here. We have to get rid of the past and stop listening to these fucking guys because it doesn't matter what they say. It just doesn't matter anymore.
From the WWE afterwards. Christian was a sleeper signing. Nobody really expected it to happen, but I'm glad it did. AEW gave him a much better run than what he would have gotten if he stayed with the WWE. His matches with Kenny Omega were also top-notch wrestling. Christian clearly...
I assume they didn't do any gay stuff in those matches. So that was probably good for him. I'm excited. I've never been a Christian fan, so I'm excited to see him in AEW. I don't really know what that's all. I didn't know what Jericho was all about until I saw him in AEW. Maybe that makes me a noob. That's around the time where I tuned out of wrestling. I kind of stopped right there and took a lapse because I just wasn't into what was happening. Basically, when WCW died, I was done. And so this is like WCW coming back, and I'm excited.
Really still got it at the age of 47 years old. AEW then signed two younger wrestlers that can easily become world champions one day, and that is Malachi Black and Andrade. WWE never treated those guys properly, and it's a shame because they are two of my favorites right now. AEW does need to book Andrade better though because he's been booked.
You see, that's funny. This guy was trying to hate on AEW, and then like all of his heroes went there. Like everybody he loves went there. And he's like, oh, God damn it. Now I like AEW because they took all my favorite wrestlers and made them happy, which is what you could see this from the start. I'm like, they're going to take all the wrestlers that everybody likes and give them a fun place to hang out and do what they want to do. That's like the whole strategy of AEW is not to be dicks. AEW, come work for us. We're not assholes. We're not Vince McMahon. That's pretty much the whole selling point, and it's working out amazingly.
Looks pretty badly here, but Tony Khan will need to make that change. And we can't talk about AEW's newest signings without mentioning Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, who both made their debuts at the same time at All Out. That was just an epic moment that I've never seen done before. But when you look at all those names and the other ones signed from 2020, I think AEW has one of the best rosters ever.
He's going to say it. He's going to say we got better wrestling in AEW. Facts, people. Facts.
Biggest issues with AEW was always the wrestling. It looked so unprofessional that it was...
It's not true. That's not true at all. Look, that never happened. That never happened. Show me. Show me. Yo, I don't know what this kid's actual name is, but yo, Pllana Productions, show me the bad wrestling. Hook me up. Send me the highlight clips of all the worst spots from AEW. Show me the bad wrestling, please. Someone show me. Is it on Botchamania? Do I gotta watch? Is Botchamania loaded up with AEW clips? I gotta see these botches, man. I mean, you see botches all the time. That's part of wrestling. But yeah, I want to know. Count up how many botches are on AEW as opposed to WWE. And then how many WWE edits out. I think AEW leaves it in. I think they're fucking proud of their botches, man. People botch there and everything is fine. But yeah, please, let's compare bad AEW to bad WWE. Any day, I'm down for it. I would like to have a botch off. Let's go. And I don't know, man. I never saw. I've seen great wrestling. Has he watched everything? Have you watched? I mean, maybe he was watching the women's matches. Women's matches be a little sus though. Women's matches and Private Party. Okay, straight up Private Party be botching. Private Party back in 1999 be botching like fucking crazy. Truth, facts. Okay, absolutely. No, I've even spoke towards that. That shit was botchy as fuck. That triple tag match between Private Party and the Lucha Brothers and SCU, botch fest. Fucking bot, mostly on Private Party. And this is what you were going to get. I mean, AEW, when it came out, was like 50% top talent, best wrestlers in the world, and then 50% like indie dudes. Dudes just coming off the indie scene who like only knew how to do botches. Some of them indie legends, I'm finding out. Some of these guys, hardcore fucking indie legends. So like, they were indie, but they were amazing in their own regard. And then there's like, Private Party. Okay, yeah, all right, give him that. All right. Things have probably improved. I mean, when you get more wrestlers, like the best wrestlers in the world, of course the talent's going to go up. You're only going to be able to put on matches like that are quality with two people in the ring who have like equal amount of skill. That's what it is. And you can see like a wrestler, like you could put Kenny Omega in the ring with like a jobber, and you're not going to see an amazing match unless Kenny Omega is ready to like kill the guy. Like the guy has to be able to take the bumps and keep up with the speed and have the knowledge to not die when you do these things. Like these amazing wrestling matches you see, both wrestlers are amazingly skilled in that regard. Even if one of them looks like he's just getting his ass kicked, that dude's talented. So that makes sense. Okay, fine. The wrestling got better.
Almost embarrassing to watch. They would set up spots that were incredibly obvious. They had way too many.
All right. Are you talking about when Lance was killing children? I mean, it was quarantine, okay? It's quarantine. And he will get your children. He will get your children and he will beat them up. Do not mess with Lance Armstrong. He will beat you. Lance Archer will beat your children to death. They weren't botching though. I don't think any children actually died. Children were fine. Calm down. It wasn't embarrassing. No more embarrassing than what goes on in WWE on a daily basis.
Botches for a national program, and they did a terrible job when it came to selling the moves. The reason why their wrestling was bad was simply because they didn't have professional wrestlers that actually knew how to wrestle. Because of all—
Dude, you're just dissing on indie wrestlers, man. Come on. That's not cool. I mean, definitely. There's a difference between dudes that work the indie scene and pros. 100% there's a difference. But if you never give these guys a shot or a stage, how is that right? Then you're just going to end up with WWE all over again. So I applaud AEW for having so much respect for independent wrestling. And I think you're now seeing some more brand separation. Like AEW Dark, more of the indie guys are going over there. You might see only top talent appear on Dynamite in the pay-per-views. You might not see, like a Private Party might have more time to develop before they're on primetime TV. But you're also missing some stuff. Like, we're missing Joey Janela on primetime TV. Like, that's kind of a shame. He's kind of amazing. This isn't like a bad thing to have to give people a shot. Like, if you didn't give smaller guys a shot, guys that weren't pro, then you might not have like a Darby Allin, who is fucking incredible. But do you think Darby Allin would have really gotten a shot in WWE? I don't think so. I think you're only really going to see that in AEW, where you're taking indie guys and giving and pushing them and trying, hey, can you make it? Can you swim, motherfucker? No, you were a fucking botched nightmare. Back down to AEW Dark. But at least they're given a shot. I think it's more of a merit-based system in AEW. At least that's what I see. People seem to be given a shot. If the match is kind of ugly, you don't see them again. They go over to Dark. Maybe they'll get brought back out again at some point. I think that's cool. Like, do I need to see every match of the night be a 5 out of 5, a 6 out of 6? Like, yeah, I guess it would be cool, but I don't think that's realistic. And I don't think they should try for that. And I don't think it's going to ever help anybody come up to the top. I mean, yeah, right here we have fucking CM Punk and Darby Allin. We have a fucking legend and an indie guy. And we only have that because AEW operates the way it does. And I think it's fucking great.
All these new signings who are former WWE guys, I think the wrestling has drastically improved. Christian, Miro, FTR, CM Punk, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, Andrade, and Malachi Black.
I mean, that's all great. That's all. Don't get me wrong. This is great to see all of these, big names come to AEW and make it more of a thing. But I think what people are worried about, like AEW fans at this point, are like, yeah, but what happens to like the Darby Allins? What happens to the Joey Janela's? What happens to those guys now? Are they not going to be on the big shows? Are they not going to be in the pay-per-views? Are we not going to see that anymore? Because that's exciting too. Like, that is fully exciting too. And maybe those matches won't be as good, but you're never going to get the first matches of like The Undertaker, when he wasn't even The Undertaker, were they amazing? Or did he just have a really good gimmick and then he became a better wrestler over time? I mean, you go back and watch these things. These guys don't always come out giving the best. You're not going to come out and give the best match of your life on your first match. It's going to take you some time to grow into that. And I think it's cool that AEW was allowing that to happen, as opposed to, just getting. I think what we all don't want to have is this incredibly polished, sterile product, which is what we have on the WWE. Very sterile product. And yeah, like we're saying here, Apex is saying in TNA, sign the big names and you push the small guys back, and then pretty soon what made you original, it doesn't exist anymore. And we don't want to see that. So yes, definitely cool to see these guys come in, but sad to see. We don't want to see a guy. I trust AEW to take care and make sure that they are going to bring us a quality product every time. The best product they can bring on that date. And I think that's what's important to note. Botches, no botches, bad matches, good matches. I feel like AEW, every time they came out and did something, they put on the best show they possibly could put on that night. I can't say that about WWE. I don't think anybody can. Because it's clear they could have tried harder, written better, thought more, planned more, and done something more engaging on a regular basis than AEW has done. AEW's limitations have been clear. Short roster, working with independent talent, the list goes on. What's WWE's excuse?
All have come into AEW from WWE, and they are actually wrestling the proper way. This includes wrestling that does not look choreographed and slowing down the pace, including some selling. It's been very refreshing, and I hope that they're also teaching some of the other guys backstage.
Selling. He's just getting kicked in the fucking chest. These guys are fucking legends, and he's just fucking kicking Omega in the goddamn chest. I mean, it's not even fair to compare fucking Private Party to Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, yes, this is like probably one of the best matches of all time. Yeah. I mean, how is that even fair? Like, okay, cool. I mean, this is on AEW. I mean, I'm glad he's saying that AEW doesn't suck anymore because, like, literally this. Like, yeah, this happens on AEW. So, like, what could WWE possibly do that could ever compare to this? Like, what could they do? Nothing. Fucking nothing. This is the best.
That never got this proper training. That doesn't seem like the case though, because there are people like the Young Bucks, Jungle Boy, and the Lucha Bros who still act very insane, but let's just hope that it leads to a change.
What are you talking about? These are fantastic. Still act very insane. It's like, I don't think this guy gets hardcore wrestling. I don't think he gets hardcore wrestling or like big spot wrestling. I think he likes man-on-man chain wrestling, striking, that kind of thing, which is fine. That's fine. I mean, I'm glad that AEW is delivering for him, but You can't tell me a match between the Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks isn't straight fire. Those are all awesome. I have not seen the Young Bucks versus Lucha Brothers go bad. That is always like the best thing. It is amazing. I've never seen tag team wrestling like this. And yeah, it's a little buck wild. It's a little fucking crazy. It's not what you would normally see. They might botch some shit. They might cover those botches. They will go on with the match. These guys are fucking incredible. I'm sorry. You can't fucking convince me otherwise. It's impossible. I guess maybe it's just not your cup of tea. But this is fucking amazing. Fucking amazing. There's no generation that shouldn't find this amazing. Young, old, anyone, this match is amazing. There's no fucking way. I've seen this a few times now in different permeations, and this is always good. Always good.
Dang. I will admit though, at least those people who do wrestle like crazy independent guys have gotten a lot smoother, which is good. I'm guessing it's because they've had more experience with wrestling on TV now.
Ooh, yeah, that was the big one. So I'm happy to hear they're going to fix the women's division. No one could argue that women's wrestling in AEW was trash can. Like, no one would argue that with you. No one at all. No one sane would. No, absolutely not. Very bad. I've seen no good women matches. Not a one. Not a single fucking one. So I'm very excited about this. I hear they might get Charlotte. Dude, if Charlotte comes to AEW, that shit's going to pop off.
The women's division has been one of AEW's biggest problems since the debut of the company.
Look, don't say that and then don't say that right now. Don't put this picture up and then say that. You're being weird.
It seemed like All Elite Wrestling just didn't care about that division. I can confidently say that this is
fine. You want to pick on her? That's okay. I don't think that's right either, though. Stop picking on people.
It's not the case anymore. AEW has made many changes and added a ton of new names to that division. First and foremost, Britt Baker winning the championship was easily one of their...
She's been there since day one. If you like Britt Baker, she's been there since day one. Many people say that she carried the women's division on her back, so I don't understand why you act like this is some new development. She's been there since day one. This is not a new thing.
Her best decisions. She is a breath of fresh air and has been...
Since day one. Since day one, she has been there. So this is not new. What is the new part?
Killing it in this role. Thunder Rosa is also now an official member of the AEW team, and that is great news because she should be the next women's champion. Jade Cargill is being built as a dominant monster, and she could probably beat up a majority of the AEW roster. Ruby Soho was a perfect signing for Tony Khan. And then you got Anna Jay and Ty Conti, who are also great pieces to that division. AEW also recently just announced the brand new TBS title for the women's division. So honestly, the women's division is looking bright and the future looks good.
Great. That really lacks substance. I don't think he watched I haven't watched the old women's matches either because they were awful. But it's funny, he didn't have anything specific to say about the women whatsoever. Just like, now they've signed a bunch of good women wrestlers, so now it's good. I mean, I agree. That's not a very hot take at all. But yes, it is good that they signed an actual stable of women wrestlers instead of just like a bunch of random Joshi wrestlers that Kenny Omega picked up in Japan. Yes, that is cool that they have some actual talent now for the women wrestlers. That's good. Agreed.
The most refreshing thing about AEW is the fact that Tony Khan actually listens to his fans. It is a beautiful thing to see because the WWE is the complete opposite. So many people wanted Liv Morgan to get a push for a few years now, and the audience in attendance even gives her good pops. Despite all of this, the WWE never listens, and she has been stuck in catering for the longest time now. AEW is not like that at all. They understand their audience and they give them what they want. The fans wanted Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, and AEW gave it to us without any interruptions or disqualifications. The fans wanted Britt Baker to become the next women's champion, and then AEW made her the next women's.
So they didn't set Finn Balor up to almost win the championship and then have the ring explode and then blame it on God? Cool.
Champion. And now the people want Hangman Adam Page to defeat Kenny Omega, finally becoming the AEW World Champion, and I can guarantee that that is going to happen at Full Gear.
It would be quite a swerve if he didn't. I don't know. I'm just saying. I love cowboy shit though. It would be an epic moment. He's probably right. It'll probably happen. But it would be a good moment for a swerve too. And then let it happen at the next pay-per-view. You know, who knows? I'm excited to see it. That's the thing. I'd be excited to see it. I'd actually give a shit. That's the difference between AEW and WWE right now. I actually fucking care.
Listening to their audience is one of AEW's strengths because it keeps us engaged with the product. It feels like we actually have a voice, and the WWE should take some notes. And the last reason why AEW does not suck is because it's actually fun to watch. Whether it's good or bad, AEW is...
All right, I like this guy. I'm glad he came around. It's true. It's true. It is fun to watch. Yo, somebody sent me this. I was going to take off, but now I'm going to watch this. If you want to watch it too, make sure you like and subscribe. Grave diggers. If you want to be a grave digger, make sure you like and subscribe. And keep digging.